Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast, where I go and look at low-owned plays and strategies specifically designed for GPPs. This is a show of people who are already informed in daily fantasy sports lines contests operate. If you have any questions related to NASCAR, if that you have, or if you're too embarrassed to ask to anyone else, feel free to shoot me a question at BrandonCruzDFS on Twitter. Most importantly, take everything here with a grain of salt and use your best judgment when making entries. Additionally, if you have a gambling addiction, that's not my problem. Let's look at the Truck Series at Kansas. I know this is coming out a bit late, and probably not a lot of people are going to listen to it. This video is probably dead viewership-wise, but this is the first time I've really been free because I've been having to make stuff for the stupid Cup Series race and blah blah blah. And I'm recording this currently as the race is going on. So, like, for example, you can see that I got a little stream right here because I gotta just stream it. I ain't paying for cable. I ain't doing that. You can find everything else free online. Thank God for Twitch. Yeah. So I'm recording it during the race, and let's just start talking about Texas, and let's really start breaking down the guys that I really want to look at, the guys that I really want to focus on. So let me address this right quick. I've been playing for about the last month now. I've been doing single entries and just entering one lineup in most of these slates. I think there's been a few times I enter maybe 2 or 3 lineups, but pretty much for the past month I've been doing single entry contest or just entering one lineup in contests, and it's been working out really well for me, actually. I think that's to do with the whole COVID-19 and not having practice and being gridded by points and all that. What it does, it just creates just a massive amount of chalk in between these in these contests, and it creates cores that are just stupidly high owned most of the time. And I said this to the people in the DFS Tavern Discord, but I'll say it here. So, like, whenever I'm trying to approach these types of contests, I assume that a vast majority of people are going to use, 3 or 4 guys, give or take, in the same core of a lineup. What does that mean? Well, like, for example, in this current Cup Series race, not on the not on like the lineups that's winning right now, but the base lineup that most people were going to enter with, or at least start building with, was Harvick, Hamlin, Preece, and Blaney. That was expected to be very high owned, and even if you weren't trying to do that, it's just the lineup you were pointed to. And the advantage of entering 150 lineups, at least for me, is gone, because I liked entering that many lineups, in the mini max and the $1, and then entering 8 or 10 in the $12 or $10, whatever it was. The advantage of that was I could go through different avenues and different roads and everything. Well, now here, since there's so much freaking chalk, and everybody's playing the same guys and the same information's out there, because nobody has practice anymore. We won't have it this year, sadly. But the thing in practice was every content creator had their own stats that they're looking for. I have my own things that I want to see from practice. Other guys have their own stuff that they want to see in practice, and not having that has really I don't want to say minimized, but it's really like just diluted the information to where, whether you read free articles or you read the DK articles that Pierce writes, or you read, I'm assuming other sites that you pay for are pretty much pointing you to the same thing. Like, if you, like I assume, I use this Cup race again for an example. I don't know what his ownership was, but I'm pretty sure Ryan Preece is pretty high up there. I'm pretty sure Tyler Reddick is at least 52% owned. Kevin Harvick's probably 65 something, somewhere around there. And I mean, Kevin Harvick's a fucking bust, Oh, I just cussed there. I've been doing so good at not doing that. But, so I apologize for that. But, like, I don't have to be, like, look, everybody played Harvick because they were expecting him to lead the laps. Nobody knew that he'd show up with just a terrible car. And that's what he has. He's probably, he's not going to kill your lineup. It depends on who you have around Harvick right now. I assume Harvick's probably going to finish top 10. What am I doing this? I'm recording this halfway through the second stage with Truex leading. I think Harvick's in 5th or something. And so, I mean, Harvick is so highly owned. There's going to be lineups with Harvick that still cash and do well, but your chance at taking down GPP is done. And I knew it was done because my only lineup has Harvick in it. I didn't play Blaney. I focused more on the guys starting, 16th to 24th. But as soon as I saw Harvick didn't lead the first lap, I was like, oh, it's over. It's over. And everybody who played Harvick is just dead in the water, and the play was defeated. And that's really what it's coming down to. And why am I going on this long-winded rant of the Cup Series race right now? Because it's the same thing in the Truck Series. And if you listen to my video or my podcast last week talking about the Truck Series at Texas of the Fogelman chalk and how to approach it there, I mean, that's going to be the same story going on throughout the entire year now, because it's all just going to be, there's like 3 guys that are chalk that you're going to need to play. DraftKings has these nobodies starting, in the teens, in the 20s, that just are too expensive or too cheap or can't pay off their price, and so you're just directed towards certain drivers. And I mean, I don't know. That's taken. I mean, a lot of things have really taken the wind out of my sail. This DFS year for NASCAR. I mean, I'm between dealing with all this freaking chalk that you gotta walk your way around. It's like a freaking landmine, man. It's a minefield, because I don't want to hit that chalk, because if he busts, I mean, half the contest is gone. I need to avoid him because I need to get ahead of those guys. Like, if driver A has 60, I'll back it down. If driver A has 50% ownership and you have him and he does poorly, you're SOL. You're screwed. If driver A at 50% ownership does bad and you don't have him, you have a huge advantage on the field. If driver A at 50% ownership does well and you don't have him, you're freaking screwed. I mean, it's more frustrating now than ever. And I mean, that's why I'm only making one lineup, and that's working out. Normally I look at the chalk plays and see where I can make my pivots and stuff, and I haven't taken down a huge contest yet, but and I mean, I probably would have last week in the Truck Series if I didn't have Brandon Poole. Oh man, Brandon Poole, what a joke. That guy's head this dude races with his head up his butt and just makes these stupid plays. And I still cashed with that lineup because I pivoted everywhere else. I don't know. It's frustrating to see just ownership where it's at right now, and where the industry is, where the community is. I mean, I don't know. I've already ranted about this enough. All I can say is I've contemplated going back to just doing my own stuff full time, at least a couple numerous times, and we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, now that I've ranted for 8 minutes, let's talk about the Truck Series. Go to raceforthepress.com to get the fancy NASCAR spreadsheet that I use and that you need to be using as well. It helps me out. It has all the information that I need in one location, easy to read, easy to click through, easy to look through for all 3 series. Pierce offers optimizers on that as well, so you can make your own projections or go off of whatever he has, and build lineups from there. And I mean, it's if you look at the price between this and Fantasy Cruncher or other sites, I mean, this is by far a steal. I don't know why other people don't use it. I understand the interest in NASCAR is going to just decrease from here on out because all the other sports are back, but still, if you're here and you're not using it, you need to check it out. You need to listen to his podcast as well, because he goes into more detail than I do, because I just look at this stuff from a tournament standpoint, and you need to read his articles on DK Live, because I think those are the best articles. I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm biased, because I use his stuff, but I mean, he knows his stuff, man. He knows his stuff. That's all I gotta say. So let's look it down. As and I'm currently running optimizers for the Xfinity Series and Truck Series right now, so hopefully they've refreshed by the time I get there. Alright, so when I first ran the optimizers, when I first looked at the whole field, and as you can tell, I'm not going to do the grid thing just because that's boring. I'm going to just talk about my lineups and construction and all that type of stuff. Anyway, when I first looked at it, the people who look like are it's gonna carry ownership, or it's gonna point towards an optimizers, and if you're hand making lineups, you're probably gonna land on these guys as well. It's Enfinger and Crafton. Those are the guys that I'm seeing pop up a lot right now, or a lot with every driver in the player pool, and really looking at stuff, and Derek Kraus. So I assume those three guys are going to carry a lot of ownership. I'm seeing some Fogelman in there. I'm seeing some Johnny Sauter. I'm seeing some Ty Majeski. I'm seeing some Zane Smith. Let me see here. Who else is popping out? Let's see. Ty Majeski mainly. Kristen Eck as well. That's because he's in my player pool. But yeah, so the main guys I'm going to look at towards either pivoting off of or trying to get something different. Kraus, Enfinger, and Crafton. Those are the main guys that are just popping up that I see that we need to try and do something with, because I assume everybody's going to own these idiots again. So let's look at how we can attack these guys, how we can pivot off these guys, and try and get a better lineup here. So Derek Kraus at $6,900. I don't understand why he's not more. He should be at least 72, 75 at max. He's just been performing awesome lately. He's a lock at 15. Derek is a chalk that I don't think he can really get off of. If you look at his last races here, 11th at Texas, 8th at Kentucky, 10th at Pocono, 15th at Homestead, 7th at Atlanta, 16th at Charlotte. I mean, this guy is on the rails. I mean, he is a top. Worst place, he's going to finish 12th. He's a top 10 car with top 7, top 8 upside if things can go his way. I don't mind it at all. I assume most people are going to jump on him just because Tanner Gray has jumped in price. And so you can't just jam Gray in your lineups like you could earlier. Let's look at Enfinger and the guys around him here. Let me see here. Alright, so Enfinger, starting 8th, $7,900. This is probably going to be the easiest guy to pivot off of. If you look at his recent finishes here, or not here, but if you look at his recent finishes and where he's been running in the races so far, I mean, his last finish is 8th at Texas, 12th at Kentucky, 11th at Pocono, 17th at Homestead, 1 Atlanta, and 12th at Charlotte. Enfinger is being pointed towards in the optimizers, not just mine, but I've heard some other people talk about him here and there. I think Enfinger would probably be the easiest to pivot off of. If you look at the guys around him in price, let me bring that up here. But if you look around him in price, where can you pivot? Because whenever you're looking at trying to pivot off someone or trying to predict where people are going to go and make lineups, which is all this is, which is why, I mean, maybe that's why I'm just so annoyed now that, there's ownership just the ownership's ridiculous. It's not even, dude, it's so stupid, man. It's so stupid. If I can bring this up here. Let's look at Enfinger. Alright, so Enfinger $7,900. He's in that realm to where he's just under 8,000. Let's say, for example, if you start building your lineup, I assume most people are going to throw Ross Chastain in the lineup. Probably Matt Crafton, because they're like, oh, you need Matt Crafton for the place differential. And who's the value guy that most people are going to go to? Let's say they throw in Austin Wayne Self. So you got Chastain, Crafton, Self. That's 76.33 average remaining. You're going to end up around the $8,000 range and probably your 4th pick if you're hand-making lineups. I assume that's what most people do. And so what do? You see Enfinger starting 8th. You're like, oh, well, he's ran pretty well. He's ran decent, He's not great, but this is the first time he's actually starting, beyond 7th, because for about the last month and a week he's started 7th on forward and just hasn't really been able to really pay off his salary. But this is going to be a week to where you're looking at Zane Smith and Enfinger together. You're going to see Brennan Poole. Most people are probably going to go to him again. People are afraid to go to Lassard. And then you have Ty Majeski, $700 cheaper than him, or $800 cheaper than him, my bad. And so I assume Ty Majeski and Enfinger are going to be popular clicks, and, it's more of game theory. This is more how I attack the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, which I have had far more success in since COVID has returned, or since the COVID return. It's just attacking, how these people are making lineups and whatnot. So what are the guys that I'm seeing pop out? So we got Ross Chastain, Crafton, Austin Wayne Self, Ty Majeski, Enfinger. These are the guys that are going to be clicked on, that are going to be looked at. And so while I try to avoid playing a lot of those guys, in the Truck Series you can get away with playing 2 or 3 of these chalkier guys because they're chalk for a reason. You just have to be different. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, because I wanted to talk about this a little bit before I just get into my stupid pivots and whatnot, because that's what people always listen to or want to hear me talk about. Looking at the pivots that I like here, we're going to start from the bottom up. So Robbie Lyons, he's a bit more expensive than I want to, but he's $6,700. Robbie Lyons is driving the Jesse Little entry, although what is it called now? It is... He's in a green 97 car. It's not JD Motorsports. I don't remember what it is. It's not just a little... Either way, it's a sponsored car. It's his construction company on there again. A pretty cool looking green car. If you look at the last time he ran a race, he started 34th, or he started 33rd at one of the Pocono races, finished 20th, and finished with 37 DK points at a salary of $6,700. That's pretty much the same situation here. He's just starting one space farther back. Now you got to remember, was this the Pocono race everybody wrecked? Let me look. Robbie Lyons' first Pocono race. Yeah, it was. Okay, so you got to remember that, I mean, nearly half the field wrecked at Pocono in this race. So did that bump Robbie Lyons up? I think Robbie Lyons is probably a top 25 car, 26, 27. He should run around there. Although his race rating at Pocono was 21st, but then again, people wrecked a lot. I think he lucked into that 20-place finish purely out of wrecks. You can say that, oh, well, they didn't wreck at Texas, so, oh, there's a caution. Oh, Busher has a tire down in the Cup Series. Oh, he's on the apron. Sorry, I gotta keep up with this at some point. Robbie Lyons overperformed in my mind at Pocono, but $6,700 starting 34th, I'd much rather... What happened to Busher here? Let's see, his exiting turn 2. Oh yeah, he just blew a tire down, got sideways out on the back straightaway. Alright, so Robbie Lyons, there's not a lot of safe plays starting back here. I don't mind that. Thank God it's not the $8,300 we've had for Roball or Spencer Boyd or whoever it was earlier in the year. Moving on up, Cody Roball, $4,900. Let me see here, because I got like 4 tabs open. Let's see, Cody, Roball, you just can't do it here, drivers. You just can't. A lot of mechanics. He finished 22nd at Texas. Showed up with some speed. He had some issues. Mechanical issues at Kansas. My bad, not at Kansas. At Kentucky, got wrecked at Pocono. Finished 28th at Homestead. Finished 34th at Atlanta. He's been talking about how they just had bad luck go their way. Texas was an example to where they were able to run the full race and actually show up. Cody Roball, $4,900, starting 29th. I don't mind that at all. Tate Fogelman. Look, last week Tate was running good. I know I yapped about him and what to do with Tate and where to go and blah blah blah, but he straight up got dumped last week by Derek. Finished 32nd. That was chalk. That was looking like chalk that you needed in that race up until that point. I assume that they're going to show up with a good car again. We get a bit of a discount this time around. He's $6,300 this week. Last week he was, let me look here, he was 61. No, man, he's no more. He's more expensive. He's more expensive. My bad. I'm going to say he's an out, because I feel like this is a race where you're going to want... I guess I should have said that before. I feel like this is going to be a race where you want to play somebody 5,000 or below. I just need one good punt, and I can fit in whoever I want in my lineups, because pricing is not pretty much an issue this week. So moving up, Corey Roper, and I understand I'm not talking about all the guys, but I'm talking about people who I'd consider. Corey Roper, probably too expensive. Dawson Cram, I think he's too expensive. I don't think it works for him. I'm not using Brennan Poole. I love Timmy Hill. I used him last weekend, and he did exactly what I wanted to see out of that machine. He just held his position pretty much, started 22nd, finished 18th, got 30 points. That's all we need. I think he hit value last week. He was valued at like 27 points or 26 points, somewhere around there, 27 and a half, I think. He's cheaper this week. Same situation. He should have a. I think they're bringing the same truck back. Timmy Hill being $4,900. Let's see how. Oops. Timmy Hill being $4,800 is just criminal. That's mistaken pricing. Timmy Hill is by far one of my favorite guys to look at on this, just because he should finish a few positions higher than where he started, like he did. I mean, last week's a perfect example. You know, all he did was hold on around where he was racing, didn't go a lap down, stayed on the lead lap the whole race, and he's $4,800 this weekend. I mean, Timmy Hill's my favorite guy. Austin Wayne Self, too expensive. Nally Decker, if you want to really be contrarian, I don't think anybody's going to use Nally Decker. I would be hard-pressed to use her. She's starting 21st. She's in the same situation as Hill. She needs to hold on and finish well, but I don't think she can. Normally, I have a good idea of who's going to wreck and who doesn't, and who has issues and whatnot. And look, Nally Decker's not a good race car driver. There, I said it. I don't believe in her. I don't like her. But no one's going to use her. If she does hold on, it's tight, man. What is it? 21st. She's in 21st. She needs 23 points. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to Hill. Screw that. I'm not using Nally Decker. My optimizers are still refreshing, so I cannot see. Alright, who else do I have listed off here as my pivots? I mean, that's basically, Timmy Hill is probably the one guy I'm going to use in my lineup tomorrow. That's how it's going to be. I think Timmy Hill's a complete lock. I think he's the best play on the slate. And what was he on last week? I think he was 10. Let me look right fast. Let me go back and check the contest right here. What was this one? Is this the 22 or 55? What contest was this one? In the $22 contest last weekend, Timmy Hill came in at an ownership of 10%. I don't expect that to increase at all. You know, I mean, Timmy Hill, man, I'm ride or die by Timmy Hill. That's how it's going to be. The fast guys that I want to focus on, and this is my player pool that I'm going to work with, would be Christian Eckes, Brandon Jones, Austin Hill, Zane Smith, Enfinger Creed, Rafael Lessard, which I love. I love Rafael Lessard. He either wrecks or he finishes well or runs well. He got shuffled back a little bit last weekend, but I like him, and he's a great pivot off of Ty Majeski. Tanner Gray, Stuart Friesen, Derek Kraus, Chase Purdy, and Ross Chastain. Right? Yeah, and Ross Chastain. I mean, that's the player pool I'm going to look at this weekend. And like I said, this is a bit different using one lineup. And me talking about it, because I can't just say who my lineup is, because I'm only running one right now, and I'll probably keep this little experiment going on for about the next 2 or 3 weeks, with all the races coming up, to see if that does better. I think that's the way to go in this COVID time. Is just do single entries. I think you have a much better return on investment. You don't got to deal with nearly as much chalk, and it's easier. I think that's easier. I think this is the worst time to be entering the big, $8 GPP or the $12 with multiple entries. Just do it with one lineup and call it a day. And that's about it. Like, I mean, summing up the the video, Timmy Hill's my favorite play on the slate tomorrow. And we'll check it out. I'm going to do my Xfinity broadcast next, and I will catch you there. Peace out, alligator.